A warm and cherished evening to all. On behalf of In Tandem Research Club, I welcome you all to the fortnightly symposium of In Tandem Research Club of the Department of English, Penmaris College. I am Mahalakshmi of 1st MA English Literature, compared for this delightful evening. We have a theme-based series for this academic year 2023 to 24 titled Interdisciplinary Literary Studies with today's topic literature and physics. Physics and literature is a unique collaboration between physicists, literary scholars, and philosophers. The first collection of essays to examine together how science and literature, beneath their practical differences, share core dimensions, forms of questioning, thinking, discovering, and communicating insights. Today, we have a vibrant keynote speaker, Dr. Amitabha Bhattacharyya, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, Sikkim University, Sikkim. I welcome you, sir. I also welcome the paper presenter, Mrs. Srikala Bhat, Lecturer, Department of Science, Fullinfaws PU and Degree College, Bangalore. I welcome you, ma'am. I extend my warm welcome to faculty members, research scholars, and PG students who are present at this forum. I deem it an honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Amitabha Bhattacharyya, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, Sikkim University, Sikkim. Sir holds a Master in Physics from IIT Kanpur. He did his doctorate in Raman Research Institute, Bangalore, awarded by JNU, New Delhi. His PhD research focuses on the phase transitions and molecular conformations in Langmuir monolayers. Sir is also expertise in soft condensed matter and surfactants. His latest publications are Quest for an eco-friendly alternative surfactant, surface and foam characteristics of natural surfactants, an alternative approach for determining critical nickel concentration, dispersion of ink in foam and margin to metropolis, lectures of India and Igbos of Nigeria. We are greatly blessed to have you, sir. Our today's symposium schedule as a paper presentation followed by the keynote speak address. Now, I request Mrs. Srikala Bhat, Lecturer, Department of Science, Fullinfaws PU and Degree College, Bangalore, for paper presentation on the topic literature and physics. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks. Voice, where is voice? Is it? Voice, mic, and what is? This is video and you leave that. Oh no, where I do? Video is there. Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today to share my favorite topic, literature and physics. That has been, this topic has been a passion of mine for quite some time. I'm presenting for the first time. My name is Srikala Bhat. I'm working as a physics lecturer in Fullinfaws College, Bangalore. Today, I have a privilege of discussing my favorite topic, literature and physics. Without further ado, let's delve into the exciting world of physics. Just like the novels and a poetry that capture our imagination, the same way the literature in physics paints vivid pictures of how the world works. This literature includes scientific papers, textbooks, popular science books, so on. So here, science is what do you mean by science? Because sometimes People will think this physics is not for us, physics is so difficult, science, but that is not a fact. Science is a incredibly important for all of us. It provides us with a better understanding of the world around us, and it's like a just like a tool to explain the world and the phenomenon that happens around us. So here, you just imagine why literature is so important in physics. If you want to know that, I'll give you one simple small example. You just listen this. The infant, you just recall your childhood and all, or you have seen so many small infant babies and all. Those babies will start by how they will stand up. They will start by pulling themselves up, by pushing nearby furniture, or by gripping onto the object, as they uh, support as they get. Once they will get the balance and the strength in their muscles, they will stand up. So that time they will experience the center of the mass in their body. So so what is science then? Why the science is so important, or why physics is so important in our life? See, we know that science is nothing but again a systematic attempt to understand the nature, and physics is nothing but it's a study of nature in a systematic way, or a study of the basics laws of the nature and their manifestations and a different natural phenomena. But this physics is you just imagine. I'll tell you one small. You just imagine one small picture here. There is a one huge beautiful painting, but it is all covered in a black suit. You're only able to see the middle patch, the somewhere in the middle, and it looks very interesting. That picture is so beautiful. You blow away some dust, a little more of the painting becomes visible. It looks even more curious and than before. So you want to what you want to see, you want to see more of it, but the suit is getting harder to remove. So what we have to do, we have to scrub it. Correct. The science is like a nature, science is like a painting, and the scientists and these research people, or the tools to scrub the dust. So this scrubbing is not so easy. The today the most of it seems impossible, but we don't give up. We have to prove it what it is and all. um, the next thing is the literature in physics. Are we here to discuss about the scientific literature in physics? The way we know that physics means there will be a number of technical terms and formats, study and reporting. So for example, in that picture we clearly show displacement, distance, so many things are there. But today we are not going to discuss about that, don't worry. The physics text and text from the physics books, uh, whether we are discussing about that, no, definitely no. Today we are discussing about literature in physics. So we will try to look at the physics in literature. The scientific facts are only incidental and sometimes treated in a very imaginative way. Physics, uh, see, if you, I have heard many saying, it's physics is so boring, it's boring, they can't understand it, and it is it is so difficult, so many mathematical equations are there. So we don't know, we are a common people, we can't understand what is physics and all. To understand the physics, the first thing you have to do, uh, you have to be persistent. And even if you don't understand it at first, look at it again multiple times. It requires until you get a grasp of it. This is where many fail. They give up after a couple of terms, tries, and think physics is just not meant for them. This is 100% wrong. There are often people in the literature, they're very strong, they're very powerful, they help us to understand the physics in a different way. Or so here physics becomes embedded into the context, introduced into plots, adventurers, and so on. um, I agree, academic literature can be very tough to read, as it's intended for the people who are well acquainted with their fields of study. You need to start with the introductory materials in the sense, for example, fundamentals of astrodynamic by the Bates, Muller, and
देख अभी हम थोड़ा हेलमेट भाई का हेलमेट लेने जाना है
it is dated, but that doesn't matter, as the basics are still quite valid. It explains the concepts very clearly. Superficially, it appears that physics and literature are two contradictory areas of expertise which have no similarities. Why? Because see, if I hold this mobile on my hand, in novel or in literature, we can say I'm doing some work. I can say that, but in physics, we can't say that as a work, because there should be some particular meaning for that. There should be displacement and there should be force, then only we can say that as a physics. So that's why it appears that physics and literature are two contradictory areas of expertise which have no similarities. um, and the another thing is, physics has its own language to describe its contents, namely the that is nothing but our mathematical language. For example, if you write v is equal to u plus 8 or something, there is that is a mathematical equation, but there is a physical meaning for that mathematical equation. We must know about that. Yes, there is nothing in common between the literature and physics, but through literature we can learn physics easily. So see, there is a lovely book by Frederick March called Physics for Poetry. We all know that this classical mechanics is a branch of physics in which we must use some mathematics to explain the classical physics. But in this physics for poets, which gives a clear presentation of the classical physics without requiring mathematical background. Like how macroscopic objects will move, what is the how celestial bodies are moving from one place to another place, that and all very neatly explained with in that book. And we all are familiar with Stephen Hawking's books, A Brief History of a Time, which is terrific, readable and accurate book, I think. And another one, my favorite book is Ramanujan, written by Ramanujan, The Man Who Knew Infinity. So it's so brilliant, it's so beautiful. I have found that the most enjoyable book that about maths and physics are the ones that describes the history of the significant discoveries in the field. They are usually written with an eye to the attracting a non-professional leader. Unlike textbooks, they often present the process behind the discovery. So then, what is why physics is so curious? Why physics is for all? Um, you just observe the nature. the everything whatever there around us can explain with the help of physics. For example, um, here I'm sitting here and I'm talking something, and you are able to hear that there is something that is nothing but sound. How that sound is producing that and all can be explained with the help of physics. And the distance, what is the distance between the screen and this, so that can be calculated with the help of science. And we are able to stand, we are able to walk. So what is the reason for that? And the another beautiful thing is, if you run towards your dream or goals, does that means that they approach towards you at the same rate relatively, that according to theory of relativity? And how does an opposing wind nails me forward faster and faster and faster? And what is light? Why sky is so blue? And what is that bending of the light? Why how it is possible? So this and also, so beautiful concept and very curious things to learn. So that's why we have to study the physics with the help of literature. So we know that so many books are there, but one thing we must know, um, have uh, you must have in mind that these maths or physics books are not novel books, because there, as I said, there is some difference between that, physics and the novels. You can't study those books with the same mindset when you read a novel. So but if you want to understand the physics, definitely you can go through that and you can study that and all. So best example, if you see, the so many books are there: fundamentals of astrodynamics, as I said, and conceptual physics by Havitt, and lectures on physics by Feynman series and all. And another beautiful book is Einstein's Dreams by Alan Lightman. So we all know that Lightman is an astrophysicist turned writer, is the best known in literary circles of his 1992 novels. And this is, this Einstein Dreams is just combines the non-scientific and the scientific essays of the earlier and later years. So this is such a great collection of short stories. Uh, 30 chapters are there, the different characters are there, the each which different perspectives of the time and how time affect the characters in each stories differently. They explain very well. And I mean, this is simply a brilliant one and now translated into 30 languages. So this is wonderful literature in physics. And the another one is, see, in this book actually, he mentions so many characters, and with the help of those characters he explained the relativity so beautifully. And the next one is Mr. Tompkins in a Paper Boat by George Gamow. And this is again an easy read and entertaining book, which explains the difficult concepts of relativity and atomic structure. The explanations are very clear, and the other way I have, in the first. The way of illustrating the physics, it would be much easier examples. It would be much easier, right? So he took so many example, like a train and the cyclist and all. He took that examples and he explained it, explained the relativity and solid state physics or atomic structures very well. The another one is Shakespearean science. We all know that Shakespeare means it's a love of science. Shakespeare and the science hardly coexist. So this is also another wonderful literature in of physics. So H.G. Well, you all know about H.G. Well, I guess, The Time Machine by H.G. Well. This novel opens with the time traveler expanding his plans to travel in a time to the group of his Victorian peers. So this again explains about time, relativity, and special theory of relativity, and general theory of the relativity. So not only these novels, or sorry, this literatures, the many other literatures are there. Not only even literature, some journals and research papers can also help us to understand the physics in a better way. So don't do physics by academic way, study it, learn it, use it, love it, and enjoy it. So thank you, one and all. This is Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thanks to all the organizers for the great opportunity. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Dr. Amitabha Bhattacharya sir to give us view on the paper presentation.
Thank you, madam, for your presentation. It was interesting.
Thank you, sir.
Well, using literature to teach physics, or using anything to teach physics, anything other than what is used in the conventional classroom to teach physics,
Yeah.
is a challenge. And the way we tend to teach the subject, probably you also would feel that, alienates a big group of students.
Mm.
So how do we bring them in? That is the question that you have tried to answer in some ways, and that's the question I will also try to answer in my own way.
Uh, for a teacher, there's a big challenge actually, because we all know that physics is nothing but study of nature, but the physics is not so easy, and even literature also not so easy for all. So making them to understand the physics through literature is a big challenge for every teacher. uh, so what I understand is, see, best example, for kids, if you say something, don't do that, don't do this, they will not follow that easily. But if you give some book, and through that if you explain that, they will understand and they will follow easily. So this literature also same, it is very powerful weapon. I heard the pen is the strongest weapon in the world. So you can write anything and you can change anyone from pen. So if the literature, yes, of course, it's for not for a single 1 or 2%, it's for mass. Physics also, not, we can't force anyone to study the physics and all, but literature can make it, because we know that these novels and these poetries and all, they have that capacity to create the imagination and capture the audience. The same way with the help of different type of pictures, or by using a easiest language and all, easily we can explain physics, I guess, because we all know that classical or quantum and all, especially general theory of relativity and all, not so easy. Even we have to study for many years, then only we'll understand completely what is that general theory and special theory of relativity. But by using these type of books, easily we can at least one few percent, 120-25%, we can convey what is there in the textbooks to the audience, I guess. So this is what my answer for that question.
Yeah, thank you.
Next.
It was good, and maybe there may be questions from others. I don't know. Do you take it now, or will you take the questions at the end?
Maybe once for all at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Amitabha Bhattacharya to give us keynote address. This forum is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, good evening, everybody. I'm talking on, as the topic goes, physics and literature. So, my title is a bit provocative: Physics and Literature, Incompatible Bedfellows, or aren't they? Let us see. So, like the first speaker said, physics is difficult. Why is it difficult? Or is it really difficult? Yes, the way it is taught, it is difficult. It is very cumulative. You don't only study physics, you have to study trigonometry, algebra, calculus, etc. to make sense of the subject. Second is it is very demanding. Mm, Plenty of conceptual understanding is needed, and a lot of physics is rooted to very complex mathematical concepts. On top of it, there are thumb rules, there are equations, and you have to apply them in real time. So, what do we do? The challenges is legion. So, let me be a little provocative. Like you see two equations. They may look complicated, but let me tell you, and my physics friends will confirm, these are very simple equations. So, how do I explain these equations? Can I say the summation of F is equal to mass times A, m times A? Does it help? Or should we try something else? Let us see. Most popular science books, even the best ones like Stephen Hawking, has used the first technique. Explain an equation in words. So this multiplied by this will give you this. Does it help? I don't think so. Another is you create a situation. You create a situation in which it can be explained. So what kind of situation? Maybe the problem is very small, but exaggerate it so that it is visible directly and not with sensitive instruments. Or tell it historically how the whole situation developed and why it was needed. And of course, people will lose interest. So you have to use fantasy to keep the attention. The first person to write a popular science book, or actually not a popular science book, a science fiction book to explain science, was Johannes Kepler, who lived from 1571 to 1630. He wrote a book, Somnium, a Latin. It would be today it would be considered a novella. It was published 4 years after his death by his son. He used dreams to transport a man to the moon, from where he watches the movement of stars, so that he can understand the motion of planets. So here is the planetary structure as described by Kepler and how it is understood by the dream traveler, if you want to put it. Here is another vision inspired by aliens portrayed in the 1634 book, Somnium. So, and this small thing you see here is the front cover of the book as it was first published. Now, from there, let us come to India. And the first person I'm going to introduce from India is Jagdish Chandra Bose, whom you know as the person who showed that plants have life, and the one of the first people to work on microwaves and on the radio. So he was a biologist, physicist, and also a writer of science fiction. His first story, probably the only story he wrote, was Niruddeshar Kahini, Story of the Missing One, which was published in 1896. Then he expanded it and added it to a collection of his works called Abyakta in Bengali, and he named it Palatok Tufan, which is the runaway cyclone. Now, the history of why this gentleman had to write this a short story is more interesting than the story itself, at least to me. Hemendra Mohan Bose was an entrepreneur at that time. He was the first Indian to make gramophones. He also had a hair oil called Kuntalin, which here you see has been endorsed by none other than Rabindranath Tagore, who wrote a short note about it. Now, in 1896, Hemendra Mohan Bose introduced the Kuntalin Puraskar, which was a short story writing competition, and it was sponsored by Kuntalin, and the condition was that the story has to feature Kuntalin hair oil somewhere. So the first prize went to Jagdish Chandra Bose. So here is there are some things I will read out from the runaway cyclone. A few years ago, a supernatural event rocked the scientific communities of around the world. Until now, there is no explanation. Remember, this story was written in 1896, and none of the explanation was found satisfactory. It starts on 28th of September. A leading English daily of Calcutta published that Shimla Meteorological Office is on 27th September is predicting a huge cyclone in Bay of Bengal. By 30th September, the scene was extremely frightening. The barometer fell down 2 inches in half an hour, which is terrific. By 10 o'clock tomorrow, Calcutta will face the most dangerous cyclone in years. The next day is 1st October. In the morning, the sky is very cloudy. It's very dark. And around 4 in the evening, the sky suddenly became clear and there was no trace of the cyclone. Now the meteorological department had to save face. So they said that cyclone that we predicted would strike Calcutta has left the Bay of Bengal and gone off in another direction. But no one was able to discover the cyclone's new direction. Now what? Do we need a meteorological department? So here is an artist's impression of the protests. They say that the left hand says that the office is useless. The upper one says, get rid of the office. These pictures are drawn by Hare Krishna Koiri, who is a research scholar, independent research scholar, and is present among the audience. So the first reaction was to put the meteorologist into the Calcutta University. And the Calcutta University responded with this. The Calcutta person faces the following pressures. First is the air. The pressure is 15 pounds per square inch. Second is malaria, that is 20 pounds per square inch. Third is medicines, that is 30 pounds per square inch. Then there is the university, which is 50 pounds per square inch. But all these are nothing compared to the income tax, which is 80 pounds per square inch, and the municipal tax, which is 1 ton per square inch. So 2 inches decrease in the barometer doesn't matter to the people of Calcutta. So we don't care about getting the meteorological people in Calcutta. So now the explanation comes. This gentleman, an old man who has not old, a middle-aged man who has an 8-year-old daughter, is very sick, and his sickness has taken a toll on his hair. So his daughter comes and says, "Daddy, what is an island?" Then he takes hold of the few locks of hair left on his otherwise smooth head and says, "Here are the islands." Then she says, "I have put a bottle of Kuntal Keshari, that oil, in your bag. Otherwise, in the sea voyage, all your hair will come out. All the islands will vanish." They start the voyage. The sky is overcast. There are black clouds, dark almost instantly, and there are strong winds. So he has only a faint idea what is happening, as if the angry giants had returned to destroy the earth. Wave upon wave hit our boat. Huge wave took away our mast and lifeboat, as if the last day is upon us. I remembered a scientific journal which says that if you put oil on water waves, the oil will calm the surface. So I took out the Kuntal Keshari with a lot of difficulty to the deck. A gigantic mountain-like wave was coming to strike a wave down. I opened the cap and threw the whole bottle on the sea. Like magic, the sea became calm, and the wonderful cooling oil even calmed the entire atmosphere. We were spared from certain death. Cyclone never reached Calcutta. How many thousands were saved? One bottle of hair oil. Who can say? Now here you see the Kuntalin oil is being dropped, and that huge wave suddenly subsides. There was an alternative explanation given, which is there in the first one, and has been removed in the second version. The Lieutenant Governor of Calcutta, of India, who was at that time in Calcutta, had gone for a stroll in the Diamond Harbour side, right before the storm would have struck Calcutta. And because of his fierce reputation, the storm ran away. It could be a reference to Victor Alexander Bruce, 9th Earl of Elgin, who is known as Lord Elgin. And here you see the cyclone running away like a horse, seeing the Lord Elgin coming from that side. Now, does what happens when you put oil on troubled waters? This is described in old English literature that if you pour oil on troubled waters, you calm it. So this study was first done by Benjamin Franklin in a systematic way, and this is what he has written. A thin layer of oil changes the tangential stresses near the surface. So the water becomes very smooth and the wind cannot grip the water. So the energy from the wind to the water becomes difficult and waves are not formed. Next is Mr. Tompkins, whom the previous speaker also spoke about. But I will not refer to the book she has referred. I would refer to the new edition of the book, which has been thoroughly revised by Russell Stannard. So this is called The New World of Mr. Tompkins. He has explained two things in this book more. One is special relativity and the second is quantum mechanics. These are through the dreams of a Mr. C.G.H. Tompkins, the small, mild-mannered clerk who works in a big city bank. Here the C, G and H is also interesting. C is the speed of light, G is the gravitational constant, and H is the Planck's constant. The three important constants in physics. I'll come to them one by one. Let us look at relativity. What is relativity? Relativity is the physics of the very, very fast things. What is fast? Moving objects would look smaller in the direction of the motion. But it does not matter. If I see you moving, you will become shorter. If you see me moving, I'll become shorter. It doesn't matter who is actually moving. I am moving or you are moving or both are moving. And here you have the formula E equal to mc square, where c is the speed of light, which as you see is 3 lakh meters per second. 300,000 meters per second or 1,80,000 miles per second. So that is extremely fast. But that we cannot see in everyday life, right? But in the Tompkins story, C has been brought down to 10 miles per hour. That is the speed you can get on a cycle. And it is 4.47 meter per second. So this is the exaggeration I was talking about. It's a heavy exaggeration. As a result, what happens? You see this gentleman, this is Mr. Tompkins. He sees this man on the cycle and the cycle has got shortened along the movement. And this guy has become thin in one direction. But when it's written unbelievably shortened. On the other side, when he himself takes a cycle and starts cycling, the people he sees have become shortened. Look how slim these fellows are and how slim this dog is. But he is remaining the same portly figure. He has not become anything. So whoever walks the pedals is not important. It's relativity, relative motion. Let us look at quantum mechanics, which is the physics of the very, very small. How small? That is at the not even atoms, even smaller than atoms. That's when it matters, really. The physics of the very small. And you cannot measure position and speed at a time. If you measure your position very accurately, you will not be able to measure the motion. If you measure the motion very well, you cannot measure the speed. So this looks like this. The formula looks like this. Delta x, delta px is greater than equal to h by 2 pi, where h is the Planck's constant. How much is it? 6.62 whatever into 10 to the power minus 34. That means you put a decimal, put 33 zeros, and then you put this number 662607. A very, very small number. Now, in this story, h is 1. So it is 34 zeros have been removed. So what happens? If you hit the billiards ball, the ball is moving. But if you want to see where is the ball speed becomes unknown. If you want to see the speed of the ball, the position becomes crazy. Now, if you put the ball in a small area, that means its position is fixed. So its motion is very high. It will keep on jumping here and there. It will not stay in one place. So this is quantum mechanics, how Gamow explains quantum mechanics. The next person I'll bring in the story is Professor Shonku by Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray needs no description here, no introduction. He works on various scientific projects in his homemade laboratory in Giridih, which is now in Jharkhand. And 2 years back or 3 years back, a movie was made, Professor Shonku or El Dorado, which is available on Netflix or Amazon Prime, one of them, with English subtitles. And I would recommend everybody to see it. His discoveries are interesting. One of his first discoveries was Miracurol, which is a miracle cure for all ailments. It can cure any disease you have. In some stories, it fails with common cold. In some, it doesn't fail there also. Then he has a pistol which can annihilate anything. You shoot somebody, that fellow disappears. No blood, no injury, nothing. That's the annihilating gun. There's the Shanko plane, which is a hovercraft made of anti-gravity technology. It can take off and land vertically. It's made of Shanko white. Then there's the omniscope, which is a telescope, microscope, and X-ray scope. It can be worn as spectacles, and that is the exhibit in a Shonku themed park in Kolkata. He has made an air conditioning pill, put it in your pocket, and you can stay in any temperature. Remember, brain, if I put it on your head, you will be able to remember whatever you have forgotten. Linguagraph can translate any earth language, including animal languages. Intellectron is a device by which you can measure somebody's intelligence. And Botica indica is his pill made from banyan sap. If you take that, you don't need food or water for 24 hours. He has made this mechanical man Vidhushekar, built of cheap materials, who can answer questions. And here is the English translation of one of the Shonku books. And here is another discovery by him, ornithon. This device is used to educate birds. But should I say but or should I say so? His inventions are much too fantastic today as far as teaching is concerned. But maybe in the future, who knows? These things may be normal. From Shonku, I will take you to my personal favorite, Ghanoshyam Das or Ghanada, created by Premendra Mitra, who lived from 1904 to 1988. Ghanada stays in a mess body, which is in North Calcutta, and his co-residents are Shibu, Shishir, Gaur, and Shudhir. And he tells them about his adventures, which are all over the world. He has gone to Mars, he has gone to Jupiter, and everywhere. And each story tells the reader of a new scientific concept. Ghanada is created in 1945. He fights evil. He is against terrorism. His locations are international, in India, outside the world, and across historical timelines. And he outwits all his fellow boarders every time. He is personally an anti-fascist, humanistic person, and his stories are extremely accurate from this scientific, historical, and geographical standpoint. But they are fiction. So let us look at one. This is a Kanch. The story name is Kanch or Glass. It talks about the atom bomb. This comic was published by another publishers in the around just after 2000, and the English translations are by me on my own. So this is in Hitler's. It starts at Hitler's chamber. Herr Führer, we have started publicizing that we are dropping the bomb in USA this winter. But where is the bomb? So now he says that the bomb weapon is possible only if a chain reaction can be started. And this guy says, don't explain physics. I want the bomb. And so they bring in this guy called Papen, who is an archetype character in Ghanada stories. And he has to collect uranium from Africa and bring it to Berlin. And two trusted officers will help him, Gestapo officers. Now what happens to, at the same time, Ghanada, or who is also known as Mr. DOS abroad, the Das has become DOS, and he refuses to help in atom bomb. My country has always preached the message of peace. I will not be involved in any project for the destruction of mankind. But then President Roosevelt himself approaches him, and he decides to help Germans stop from getting uranium. We have information that Hitler has sent an agent named Papen. So he recognizes Papen. So here is where they meet in a train. So Papen says, tells him in the previous picture, which you have not seen. Papen says that there is a train in somewhere in Africa, and you see the train, the pictures, the deer crossing the railway line. So they are here. They are accidentally they are in the same train. So Papen says, I am supplying things to a hospital, and he says, I'm searching patients for your hospital. And in the next picture, Ghanada comes face to face with a gorilla, and he knows that back scratching means friendship to them. So he tries it and he succeeds. But when he finds, when Ghanada is able to locate some uranium, they are attacked by Papen and company, and these people take over the uranium mine and ties up Ghanada. The first bomb made of this uranium will fall in London on the heads of your rulers, the English. We will pulverize them. But Noyala, who is Ghanada's friend, becomes active, and he is told that if there something happens, you send this tom-tom message by the drums. Foreigners in Bihe Hills, kill them, kill them. Papen understands the language, and he says we have to run fast, the savages are going to attack. But then the Gestapo officers don't need Papen anymore. They have got the uranium, so they tie him up also. And they are both tied. And the map that Ghanada made, this Blackie has made, they take it and start running away. But they don't escape. They are attacked by the gorillas. And then they open fire, and that's it. Ghanada, being Ghanada, can do everything. He knows enough yogasana to free himself from the ropes. And they are sitting there. And Papen thinks he has a cigar. He will smoke it before he dies. So he asks for a fire. That gives Ghanada an idea. He breaks open the binoculars, and with that he says he will save them. What does he do? With the convex lens, he sets fire, and so he is able to drive away everybody and escape. So here you learn the concept of a convex lens, the concept of uranium to make atom bomb, and a little bit of biology. The geography of Africa, if you read the whole story, is terrific. So far, it was prose. Let us look a little at poetry. So this is a book written by Professor Biman Nath from Raman Research Institute. It is a delightful introduction to our solar system for young cosmic explorers. Here is the description of Mercury. First comes Mercury, the planet closest, and it moves around the sun the fastest. The closer to the sun is your orbit, the faster you move, or heavens forbid. Gravity of the sun will make you fall. Nothing whatsoever would help you stop. So here is the concept of centripetal force and gravitational pull explained so clearly in such a few words. And now let me come to whatever I have done in this direction. My first work in this direction is King Topocles and the Mythical Origin of Modern Physics, which was published in 2015 in Journal of Advanced Studies. I have tried to explain concepts of classical mechanics and quantum mechanics using tops and top movement. After that, I have brought in horses to explain relativity. The story is set in ancient Greece, and King Topocles is a king who plays with tops. And using the tops, classical mechanics and quantum mechanics have been explained. Next is, which was published just 2 years back, Through the Eyes of Queen Brownia, Stories to Learn Physics. I've explained the concept of Brownian motion, which is the wiggly motion of small droplets on any liquid on water. And here, this story uses dreams, where famous scientists come and explain the phenomena of Brownian motion and interference of light to Queen Brownia. So, to conclude, I would say, obviously we know not everyone finds the subject of physics as it is conventionally taught interesting and or engaging. So, I have attempted to use literature and imagination. Actually, I don't know which comes first and which comes next. In the form of stories, or in the form of poems, or in the form of comics, to engage many of those students. So if we can juxtapose the literary imagination of the stories with the, what do I say, the very concrete concepts of physics, it's a very unconventional idea at the moment, but I think that can bring a big difference in knowledge domains. Such an unconventional take or unusual take can open new avenues in a different kind of interdisciplinary research. I would like to thank Dr. Maria Preeti Srinivasan and the organizers of In Tandem for thinking of such a topic and invited me to speak. My friends, colleagues, students for showing the way and encouraging me. Google Meet and other such platforms. And since I am working from a place like Gangtok, earlier in Darjeeling, the mobile phones, the internet, and especially the laptop battery is very useful for me to work. And here, all the characters I've brought in, join me to thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
If there are any questions, I'll be
Uh,
happy to take them.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And
Sir,
yes, I just wanted to
yes,
encourage people to say Srilata, ma'am.
yes, I just wanted to tell you that physics is a very different, I mean, difficult subject for me because, as you said, algebra, trigonometry, and all the rest of it, right? So, even some concepts used to appeal to me even in high school. I mean, and after that, I ran away from I mean, from physics as far as I could, physics and chemistry because I just couldn't bear numbers and saying. I think, and only much later when I turned to environment and nature, I found that there's so much in the physical world that's engaging. Okay, and I'm so happy that as a teacher you have used so many of these. I mean, interesting ways to teach physics. I wish we had teachers too like that. Perhaps we too would have been interested. It's very interesting that physics can also be taught. No, I mean, our geography teacher used mnemonics and other things to teach the planetary motion and so on, but physics is a little difficult. I'm so happy we had you here. Yeah, right. I'm sure the other students here on this forum will also thank you for the way. We didn't know there's so much. There should be. We've read a few poems actually from America and I mean American poets and all who do use physical concepts in their poetry, but explaining some things like relativity and all those, I mean all the other trigonometry and all is still gibberish to me, unless I mean I can't even read those uh, I mean those formulas as you say. So there should be many like me, I mean in this, and thank you that there are ways in which we can, because I mean otherwise we realize that all of it is physics all around us. Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. So and I was overwhelmed by your knowledge. Just want to share something from my limited knowledge. We have in our study of literature an indigenous writer called Lee Maracle. She's Canadian, and she has written something about an essay titled Oratory Coming to Theory. In that, she says that indigenous people, tribes, whenever they wrote stories, they actually meant to write theory. All right, so she takes us back to science textbooks. So if you have a mathematical problem about subtraction or division, it's all presented as a story. A man had 10 mangoes and he distributed the mangoes among 5 people. How much did each person get? Okay, so So she says that science textbooks and textbooks of mathematics, all school textbooks that way are full, which try to present ideas, concepts, are full of stories. So indigenous tribes, these people, they never set out to tell stories. They set out to tell you principles of life, and they didn't set out to entertain people with stories or anything like that. The whole idea of talking about the universe, about how the universe operates, when in the oral tradition, when they wanted to pass it on from one generation to the other, about how the universe operates, they said it through stories. So this is one thing that I wanted to share. She says, I hope I'm quoting her. She says, there is story in every line of theory, and there is theory in every line of story.
That's
That's Lee
interesting.
Marical. Yes, sir. And also, when we were working on these professional English textbooks, somehow, teachers of English literature, or the teachers who come from the English literature background, they shy away from teaching this technical English and professional English because they feel it's not their cup of tea. But I defer, because I feel there are we you get so many metaphors from different disciplines. For instance, I take the path of least resistance that comes from physics, right?
Yeah.
And a quantum leap. So
Yes.
ideas every discipline has concepts which give us all these metaphors, and these are just some observations that I wanted to make and share.
Okay, if there are any questions,
Uh, I think people can, don't need to feel shy or hesitant.
I have question now.
Yes, yes.
Sir, actually, say if you save classical physics as a literature without using maths, can we explain it in a correct way, sir? Is it possible? Actually, because literature, I agree. To understand that, we can go through that. But without mathematics, how can we explain classical? Because full of equation, Lagrangian, Hamiltonian, full
to be
equations.
fine. No, my take on this would be,
Mm.
if you want to become a professional physicist, you have to go for the mathematics. But
Yes,
every every person on earth need not know Lagrangians and
maths.
Hamiltonians. But
Correct.
everyone has to know what is friction,
Mm.
what is energy, and how much. Like say Neeraj Chopra throws the javelin.
Mm.
He's trying for 90 meters. I'm sure
Mm.
he has not solved the Hamiltonian of that equation.
Yeah.
But somebody
But
has seen it and explained it to him in his language so that he can throw. So
yeah, yeah,
that part the physicist will do. But a
correct.
non-physicist, it's like the doctor giving me the medicine and I know what to do with the medicine.
Yeah,
So similarly, there will be the physicist who will tell. But
correct.
to understand even that, you need to know the
Yeah,
basics of physics. May not be the technical knowledge, but up to a point. We can do that using these techniques and create the interest.
yeah.
What Srilata ma'am said, that she ran away
Hmm.
from physics as far as possible. Maybe we can stop a few people from doing that in this.
Correct. Correct. We have to do that actually. Thank
Actually,
you so
by the
much.
time we get the students, you and me, they have already decided
Correct.
whether to run away or not. This
Yeah.
has to be done at a much
Thank
lower level.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And it's also
Yes,
about
because most of the
imagination.
time they don't understand the concepts, no? So they should be to first, and if you understand the concept, I'm sure every student would stay in the class. Okay, and maybe take in. I mean, I had to become a very old woman to understand that physics is everywhere around me. Okay, I didn't understand that in school.
think it's also about what subject interests you. That can always be connected to literature. There's this Italo Calvino, who's about
Yeah.
architecture, John Grisham on law, and so there are some people who won't touch a John Grisham book because people are not interested in
Law.
argument and investigation or so the I think it's taste and spheres of knowledge and interests, individual interests. Anyone else has any observation or comments?
Yeah, actually,
Any yeah yeah
Amitabh,
J-
can I ask? It's
Yes,
not.
okay, sir. Yeah, please.
Yeah. See, in the comics and all these things, like a gadget type of a things are being introduced, right? The way you have shown the comics, it's
Yeah.
not more like a physics concept, right? It is like a gadgets, which is like a James Bond movie or Star Trek and all these things. But if I have to go to the literature, and you want to teach physics using a literature, then there's like a writing in the story form would be much better, in spite of showing that gadget can be developed, right? But here, if I have to understand the gadget, then already I understand some of the concept, right?
Okay. Okay, that's an
But do you
interesting
have
take
any
on yours.
comment on that? Means, I mean,
Well, I have never thought of it in that way. First, I'll tell you. But yes, one has to think in that direction, and maybe the next stories will be. People have written the stories in their own way, so maybe that kind of stories would be more helpful.
yeah, but the most popular thing, like introducing a gadget and all these things are already there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is the way to attract the people with the gadgets and all these things. Means, when we were a kid, we used to have this type of imaginations, right? Like,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
That's what we imagine first, right?
yeah. So, but this doesn't actually bring the physics. If I have to understand that how it works, then I know that convex lens actually, will converge the beam, right? That's
That
what.
whole thing has been explained there actually in the story,
Okay.
which I did not go into the details.
Okay.
Then it would be a 1 hour talk on that one story.
Oh, good.
But yeah, what you say is there's a point. Means it's if I use the technical language, it is point noted.
Yeah. Thank you.
Preeti, good evening, friends. Preeti,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
can I just make an observation here? Like
Yes.
all along, we had been thinking that science and literature are totally antithetical. So that has been, that myth has been like what to say exactly.
Not
Like
broken, but
we
only
seem to
challenged.
yeah, it has been broken by a lot of studies and everything. And as Srilata ma'am said, as students of literature, as people who appreciate literature, we always feel that nature is being admired, and nature is nothing but the laws of physics, okay, which are very closely associated with nature. So, like, I feel that just like science fiction, which is a very important genre of literature, we have what is called science poems also. So, I started working on a paper, but I couldn't complete. I just made a
I'd be
study.
interested in knowing them. I
Yeah,
have,
several
I
poets.
don't know much about that. This is the only book I have seen which I pointed out.
Yeah, you have seen, you made a reference to physics and poetry.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
solar. This is a book on
Similarly, we
solar
have
system.
lot of lot of
Okay.
poems which deal with such scientific concepts. So maybe to name a few, we have Edgar Allan Poe, who has written a sonnet to science. We have Robert Browning, Caliban upon Setebos, and then Walt Whitman, When I Heard the Learned Astronomer, and then we have a very interesting poem by Rudyard Kipling, The Secret of the Machines. And
Okay.
then Yeah, quite a few of them.
There are
Like I
some by
started
Maxwell.
working on that. Like I've not arrived at any particular concept as such,
I
except
would
that
like to
there is
read your paper whenever it comes out.
yeah, I am
I'll be
working on
interested
that.
in
So
that.
otherwise, I would
You
have
have
made a
one. You have
presentation
one
today.
reader ready for
Yeah,
waiting for your
I,
paper.
yeah, I was not ready for today's presentation. I started working on it some time ago, and I was not. I had not completed my study at
Okay.
all. Maybe when I get a chance, I would like to share
Yeah,
my
sure. I'd
observation
like to
or
know
results
about it.
which I
I'd
get
like to read it.
from yeah students of research. They may take it up as for paper presentation as a basis for their paper presentation. Maybe in future,
Okay.
science poems. Just
Okay.
like we have science fiction, we
Yeah.
have what is called science poems.
So in
So
that case, I would request you to read the poems by James Clerk Maxwell. James
okay,
Clerk Maxwell was one of the biggest, one of the first theoretical physicists
okay,
in the
okay, fine.
1850s, 1860s, around that time. And he has written plenty of poems on
Poems.
science.
Right. Okay,
But
sir.
he is more
Definitely.
scientist than poet. So his scientific concepts that he has touched are very strong. And he has gone very
Yeah.
deep with them.
Yes. And science is actually born out of imagination also. Like we have got a lot of film directors who have spoken about many concepts and which we have seen now coming up. Yeah, they are all existing now. Like for example, the artist Leonardo da Vinci has made sketches of the bicycle and the airplane and all that. So it's all born out of their imagination, and that has taken shape maybe after so many years. So like that, there's a very close relationship between you know imagination and science. That is literature and science. That's what I believe. So I would like to work on that and maybe get back to you, sir.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you for inspiring me. Thank you, sir.
For the benefit of students, I just want to share this. You have that essay by C.P. Snow, Two Cultures. The two cultures are science and literature.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think we had a very
Even
interesting discussion.
Bertrand,
Yeah, tell me.
yeah,
Yes,
even
Bertrand Russell.
Bertrand Russell, the
Yeah.
limits of human power and all that. So they
Mm.
deal basically with the science concepts and the universe and everything. There's a lot of scope actually for research here. That's what I wanted to mention here.
Not only research, Urmila, we can even offer a paper or a course.
Yes,
Science and
yes,
literature can be a course that an add-on course. So,
yeah, sure.
uh, very
Right.
interesting. Yeah.
Even the romantic poets like
Yeah.
Shelley, Cloud, then the West Wind, all of these taken. So there's so much has been written on the West Wind. The
Yes,
movement of the water under, I mean, all that. I mean, several geographic as well as scientific concepts are, I mean, involved in that. But one particular poem or embedded in that one particular poem, so much has been written on that. So that's even that Prometheus, uh,
Unbound.
Unbound, right? Many of
Unbound. Yes,
these,
it's a
yes,
poem by A.D. Hope. Yeah,
yeah.
Australian
No,
poet.
even
It's more to do with the environment. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
There's a
so
very short
physical
poem by
concepts.
also
Oh, I
do.
mean, so many are there. It's this one. I read an article, very scholarly article on this. I don't know when it was so far away. It's about that Westwind's activities on the land, in the air, and the sea. It
Yes,
corresponds to very scientific. I mean, information. No, comes through in that.
yes,
Ode
ma'am.
to the Westwind. So only thing is, we if we look at it with with the scientific knowledge, I think you can read all that. When we just look at it as a book, we just teach the students just those basic things.
Yes.
Is there anyone else who wants to share something or ask the speakers for any clarifications on their papers. Then could we ask Mahalakshmi to wind up with? Yes, tell me. Someone had some. Okay. Yes, we can call it a day. Yes, Mahalakshmi.
Thank you, sir. We have come to the end of the session. I deem it an honor to propose the vote of thanks. I thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Amitabha Bhattacharyya, for sharing his valuable insight on literature and physics. I thank our college principal for her constant support. Our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Maria Priti Srinivasan, Associate Professor and Head Department of English, for providing various research opportunities to the research scholars. I would like to thank our paper presenter, Mrs. Srikala Bhat, for sharing his insights. I thank all the staff members and research scholars who are present at this forum. Thank you all. We will meet again after a fortnight on 3rd November 2023 with the topic Interdisciplinary Studies, Literature and Mathematics. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Amitabha. Thank you, Madam Srikala Bhat. Thank you so much. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Madam, your paper was very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I want to personally express my thanks and appreciation.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. First time I'm presented my paper actually.
Sai told me, and you didn't come across as a first timer. That was really great.
Thank you so much.
And that I would
Please
also
join
confirm.
us in future, Madam.
Not first
Thank you so
timer.
much.
Definitely not a first timer.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Next, Preeti, bye.
Thank you, ma'am.